What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today we're doing something that I've been wanting to do for so long now. We are riding an electric motorcycle. I have never ridden one before. Now if you're new to the channel, you don't know, I got a Tesla. Here's my Model X right here, so I'm not a stranger to the electric world of vehicles, but this is the first time on two wheels with an electric motor. Oh, I'm excited. So this is a Zero FXS. By the way, huge thanks, Wow Motorcycles, awesome people over here, and this is the first new bike that I'm going to be riding out here, so I hooked up with them, and okay, let's be careful here. First of all, key turned on. This is the weird thing about the Tesla when you first ride that thing, or first drive that thing. You get in, and you just put it in a drive and you go. There's no turning the key, there's no starting a motor. Like, if you're in gear, you're ready to go, and that's the same situation here, if I'm not mistaken. So we turn the key on, and we see our dash here. We got battery level 94%, and then we got output and regen. So I'm interested in how that's going to feel on this bike, because when I got the Tesla, that's one of the things to get used to, but it's so nice to have once you've got it for a while. You know what, let's just get this started, and I'll talk about that once we get going. Again, Zero FXS. I'm not positive what year it is. 2018. Ooh, 2018. Now, if I'm not mistaken, $89.60 is the price on this one, because this is a 7.2 kilowatt hour version, and there's a 3.6, and we'll talk about that when we get out. But here we go. So got the key turned. This means the motor is ready to go. We got a solid green arrow there, which means as soon as I turn this throttle, we're going. We're in eco mode to start out. I'm not doing anything crazy here. God, this is so weird. Okay, so it's like, I'm not, how can I describe this? First of all, I'm extremely excited for this. I've been wanting to ride an electric motorcycle for ages, and oh my god! Oh no! Oh no! Guys, okay. Here's the problem. Every time I get on a new bike, I want to buy it. Oh my god, I want to buy it. And one turn, dude, in eco mode. And it wasn't even full throttle eco mode. But here, take a look at this. So we see the regen. You know, it's less than I thought it would be. Oh my god. Okay, so probably won't be able to hear anything next to this truck. Jesus! Oh my god, it's so nice. I love it. Ah! Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Alright, I have to figure out where I'm going. I'm going to take you guys one of my favorite little roads out here. I don't know a whole lot. I just moved out here to Georgia about a month ago from Austin, Texas, where well, for the life of my channel, that's the only city that you guys have seen except for vacations. This is so freaking weird. Jeez, man. Yeah, this regen is, so here's my thoughts. There's different modes on this thing, and let's see how these brakes are. Not bad, man, not bad. And silence. Not gonna lie, it's really bad that I'm riding this thing. So when I do these first rides, I don't like to just give you guys specs and just show you the ride. I like to kind of take you along on the thought process of the vehicle and how it relates to the other things that I've ridden, and in this case, driven. So like I mentioned, I've got a Tesla Model X, and I've had that thing for about 8-9 months now. And a couple of things. One is the sound, and two is the regen braking. So when you first drive that thing, it takes a little bit getting used to with the regenerative braking. And what that means, if you're not familiar with it, is that it regenerates power through braking. So it uses the motors to slow you down, and it uses the motor to recharge the battery. Now in a normal car or a normal bike, you would just lose that speed to heat, either through your wheels or through your rotors or through the motor. But with the electric vehicles, instead of losing that to heat, regenerates power and charges up your battery a little bit. It's not a ton, but it is a little bit, and it's really nice. You get used to it, and it ends up being more of kind of balancing the throttle or balancing the accelerator rather than gas and brake. That's the biggest thing to kind of get used to in an electric car or electric bike. But I mentioned it's less than I thought it would be. It's not as strong, and I think that might be because you have different modes on this bike. Right now I'm in eco mode. It's got a sport mode that we'll switch into after a little bit of riding, and then it's got a custom mode as well, and it syncs up to an app, if I'm not mistaken, where you can control all of this. You control max speed, you can control max torque, you can control the regenerative braking percentage, as well as the max regen that it'll generate. With a normal motorcycle, you have some of that kind of feel of regenerative braking through engine braking, and it's pretty strong compared to a car. A lot of times when people do an ECU flash, they'll have that engine braking reduced. So I was expecting the regenerative braking to be as strong, if not stronger, on this, but honestly it feels a little bit less than, you know, what a factory motorcycle would be with just engine braking. But I think that's just because of the mode. I think maybe with eco mode it kind of reduces that a little bit. By the way, how's this environment, man? This is one of my favorite little roads to ride. This is Kennesaw Mountain right here. I hiked up it a couple of days ago with Aylin, my daughter. Got a little carrier. She just sits in the backpack thing, and we hiked up there. But it's really nice. If you guys have been watching my channel for a while, you know the tree tunnel back in Austin that I love riding through. And this kind of gives me a similar feel. It's not as secluded, and it's not as what's the word, we'll just go with twisty. It's not, there's not as many twists in the road, but in a couple places it has some of the same overhang of trees that make it kind of feel like a tunnel. Plus the road is freshly paved. So but yeah, so this is a 2018 Zero FXS. It comes in a couple different battery options, the 3.6 and the 7.2. This is a 7.2. So that's going to determine the amount of range you have, and I think it also determines the amount of horsepower. I think the 7.2 can put out 46, and the 3.6 does 27. It's so different, man, because you have no sound. I mean, you have a sound. Electric cars, electric bikes, they have a distinct sound, and this is one of the things that probably I would have as the biggest challenger to when people say, I could never own an electric car, I could never ride an electric motorcycle because there's no engine sound, or there's no exhaust sound. And I can understand that completely. If that's your only reason for not wanting it, hey, whatever floats your boat, man. You got to buy something that you enjoy having. But these electric vehicles, man, they sound like Tron bikes, like straight out of futuristic movies. It just sounds like you're on a freaking pod racer. Obviously it's different, but I think it's a pretty awesome sound. So I'm not complaining about it, and it's nice, man. After you've been riding for a while, sometimes, you know, it's nice to have an exhaust that just freaking blares and makes a lot of noise, but it's also nice to just have relative silence when you go out to ride. Let's try this acceleration. And again, this is in freaking eco mode, man. Okay, so I think eco mode has a speed limit of 70 because I've got it pinned and it won't go above 70. So I think eco is set to 70 as a speed limit. But the acceleration, oh, it's ridiculous. I've been told that if I crank the throttle in sport mode, I'm gonna loop the bike. Okay, so I'm at 55. We know the speed limit is 70 for, well, the bike. If I just crank it now, how fast will it get there? And there's 70. That's ridiculous, man. It's so quick. Relatively nimble. I want to say it feels maybe a little bit less nimble than the CRF. I think that's because the CRF is taller. This sits a little bit lower than my CRF does. If you want to check out my CRF 450, I'll put a link in the description so you guys can check out the bike that I built. It's a motocross bike that I converted to a street legal supermoto. Yeah, eco mode you can't, maybe like from a start if you like real sat back, you could probably bring the wheel up. But I think the bike starts at 8,300 for the 3.6 version with no options, and then goes up to over 10 depending on what you want to kit it out with. But with the 3.6, you actually have hot swappable batteries, so you can just take out the battery when it's dead, put in a new one, and you've got the full charge of the 3.6 again. I'd probably go with the 7.2 either way. I'd rather have long-term range than have to carry around an extra battery if I need it, because if you have to carry around an extra battery, you probably are expecting to be swapping it in, and in that case, why carry it? You might as well just have the 7.2 already built in. All right, sport mode. I think I hold it. No, maybe just press it. Oh yeah, I just have to. It's just a slightly longer press. Okay, this is sport mode. Be gentle. Okay. Okay. Well, there was 75 or 80, and I think that was the road that I wanted to take. Yep, most definitely was. So that's okay. We'll go back to this intersection and ride around a bit, or we'll go down that road. You know what? Screw it. We're gonna turn around. Jeez, man, you crank it and it just punches. I think the bike weighs about 250 pounds. It might be a little bit more than that if this is 7.2, which is pretty light. I think my 450 is about 250 pounds. But definitely the nimbleness is just because of the height, maybe the wheelbase of this bike. Otherwise, it feels just about as light as my 450 does. And Zero makes several other electric motorcycles. If you guys want to see me ride those, be sure to let me know in the comments. They make a naked version that's supposed to be super fun to ride. It's more of a sport bike, like one of the naked sports, just like the MTs or the SVs. Jeez, man. Oh god, it's amazing. I love this thing. So yeah, the 3.6, you have a hot swappable battery. The 7.2 is going to give you 40 to 100 miles of range to a battery, and that's going to depend on how fast you're going and how much you're pulling on the throttle. I believe the 40 miles per hour is if you're at 70 miles per hour on the highway, it does 40 miles of range, whereas 100 miles per hour or 100 miles of range is the city rating, which is not bad. It's not terrible. I want to say that my CRF is only about 50 or 60 miles of range to a tank, so it's pretty comparable, honestly. I believe the combined range on the bike is rated at 57 miles, so it's not bad. Of course, the thing is, it's not gas, so you can't just fill it up willy-nilly in a couple minutes. It's got a standard plug, which is an interesting idea. For the average person, I think it makes sense though. It's just a standard outlet for your house, and with that plug, it's gonna charge full battery in about 10 hours. So you do about you know, let's say 57 miles. Do that in a day. You plug it in when you get home, and in the morning you got a full battery. Never have to go to a gas station. Don't have to worry about stopping for that. You always wake up and you got theoretically 100 miles of range for the bike. Not bad. If you want it as like a city commuter, it's going to be outstanding. Back when I lived in Austin, I lived way outside the city and I commuted back and forth. Easy. Gonna handle it no problem. I can still have some fun with it. If you're planning on getting this one and doing really long commutes, then you might run into some problems. But that's where their charge tank comes in. They have a quick charge option where it's going to be able to, I think, have a 60% reduction in charge speed, but they have a charge tank, and I need to read more into this, but with the charge tank option that you can add, it's going to add the ability to use the tier 2 chargers or level 2 chargers that a lot of cars will use. It's the J1772 charge ports, and that's the most common charge port that you'll see for EVs. When you see like the chargers at Whole Foods or in like apartment complexes or things like that, that's J1772 99% of the time. Obviously it's not going to be Tesla supercharger speed, but you also don't have a 100 kilowatt hour battery. That's what I have in the Tesla. This is just 7.2. So with that charge tank option, you're going to be able to get a full 100% charge in about an hour, and that's full charge. If you only want to get like 50%, it's drastically reduced, because just like with your phone, it takes longer to charge those last few bits, those last few percents on the battery. So if you don't need it, then you save yourself a lot of time. This road would be fun if I wasn't sitting behind a bunch of traffic. It's so smooth. Like, you don't quite realize how much vibration a normal bike adds until you get on this thing. But if I'm not mistaken, the other bikes that they offer, the naked version, I can't remember what it's called, but I'm pretty sure the range on that one is significantly longer. I think in the range of like 150 or more miles of range. I'll throw it up on the screen. All right, let's crank this a little bit. Not a lot. Oh, jeez, man. Jeez, man. I need this in my life now. I want to ride some of the other electric bikes. There's, like I said, several other motorcycle brands that make electric bikes. There's Zero, of course. There's Alta, which was actually, I think Harley bought a commanding stake in Alta, if not outright bought it. I'm not quite sure. Then there's Energica, I think that's the name of it, and they make like sport bike electric bikes. I'm really excited to try those out someday, but right now the Zero is what I could get my hands on. Oh yes, baby, yes. So much wind noise. Yeah, see, we got a little bit of a tree tunnel here. But yeah, that's it. That's the Zero FXS, the supermoto bike that Zero Motorcycles makes. If you guys had any questions, leave them down in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them. And go ahead, leave a comment. Let me know the next bike that you guys want to see me ride, and I'll get myself on it. I love making these videos for you guys, and you guys really like them, so let me know. If you want to get any of my merch, you can get it at motonosity.com/shop. I got shirts, key tags, wristbands, or reservoir covers, stickers, all that jazz. Check it out. You guys have been awesome. I've been Motonosity. Shout out Wow Motorcycles for letting me ride this thing. Zero Motorcycles, you made a great bike. And that's it. I will see you guys in the next video.